All right, I'm out in the shop today. I want to do a video on building a custom rear bench seat. There's not a huge amount of information I found online, so this is I'm going to walk through from start to finish, including the frame, the foam, the listings, the cover, everything. Specifically, this is on a Tri-5 Chevy, a 56 hardtop. However, the principles you could apply to just about any type of custom muscle car. This is how I do it. There's a bunch of different ways to do this, but I figured I'd do a video showing start to finish and hopefully give you some ideas on how to put it together yourself.
This is the starting point. As you can see, there's nothing here. I've got the rear door quarter panels loosely installed. I'm going to be reusing those, so those are my points of measure. First thing I do is go get a piece of CDX 3/4 inch piece of plywood and measure, and I'm building and cutting out a base template. Starting point, make sure the car is level. And then if it's not level, basically adjust your measurements off of wherever your car is for level. Got my board cut out here. Pretty straightforward. I got a couple of blocks underneath it just to temporarily support it. I've got my center line marked. I've got my cutouts for the center of my seats. I do cutouts and then listing across, which I'll show you what it looks like. Provides a little bit more comfort for long-term journeys rather than just a flat board. You can definitely do a flat board. It's totally fine. My front lip here, I've got it extended about 3/4 inch past this cross brace piece here. What I'm going to do is then cut out and some bracing underneath this whole thing to support the weight load. And then I'm going to build some brackets and a couple of nutserts. So these are going to be my lower attachment points. And then on the back, I'm going to build some brackets up, and I'm going to have my attachment points against this rear panel here. All right, I've got the base cut out. I've got the front braced. We're going to have a couple of brackets here in the front, nutserts. I've got my center sections cut out that are going to get webbed. This actually makes it a heck of a lot easier to do the bracing underneath, so I'm not guessing. So what I do basically, got a piece of board here. I'll measure the backside of it, take off the thickness of the board, and then transfer that, and then do that on the sides here. It'll go under the lip, obviously, and then the same thing, but I've got to account for the wire channels on this side. And then I've got enough structural support for the weight. And then I've got to do my back brace, get everything mounted where it needs to be, and then I will start on my back piece. I've got the lower frame all braced to support weight. I've got the back panel rough cut just sitting in there at the moment. Next step here is to build the brackets to secure the lower base frame. And then once that's done, I can do a final trim of the back plate. The top gets trimmed a little bit because it's an arch. Obviously, as you can see, it stands proud on the sides. And then I could build the brackets for the back frame. I'm out here in the shop, cutting foam, making a mess. High density foam, 5 inches, and I'm cutting it. I made a pattern, cut them into sections, glued them together. I used just a cheap turkey saw or a meat cutting saw to cut the foam. Worked pretty well. Obviously, it needs to be cleaned up, and that's the whole point of the air sander here. Makes a huge mess, obviously, but it's basically, you kind of see the contour and the shape I'm going for. Building the whole base, and then I'm going to build the foam on the back rest to match the patterns in the front seats. So to have a little bit of an angle, nice angle for a bolster. Glue is the Weldwood contact adhesive. The xylene is to clean the gun. It's just a cheap Harbor Freight gun. So, working well. I've got the back seat mounted and in, all the brackets made. The bottom seat has 2 in the front and then 2 L brackets in the back. And then the center has a couple of studs going through with bolts on the back, and then it bolts in from the trunk. And then the bottom, you can see that center brace. There's actually one angled behind it as well, so it locks it in position so it doesn't go anywhere. So that's it for now. I'm gonna continue to make a mess. I've got the back seat mostly in shape. A couple of pieces, I got some lumbar support there. Now I just need to cut out the little side wings, smooth it out. I've got the base sanded and smooth. Top I've got shaped, so it's nice and level across the back. A little bit more sanding and I should be good on the foam. I've got the seat belts sorted for the back seat. I have the retractor motor behind this bolted in, comes up, has the top clip. It'll live here, got a little swivel to it. And then this one comes down and it ties into its own spot in the inside of the fender well. And then over here I have, you can't see it, foam's in the way. Let's see if I can move it out of the way. Cut a couple of notches in here. This is for the latch mechanisms to come through. Made a couple of L brackets for that as well. So that's nice and clean. So I'm just waiting on my latches. I've got 12-inch latches, which are way too long. So I've got 6-inch ones coming. Once that's there, I will have the back seat basically roughed in. And then next is going to be the door panels, and then start on the rest of the interior. Down in the basement working on these door cards. First time doing this. Never really liked the design of all the Tri-5 Chevy door cards, so I'm going to redo it completely. I got one here taken apart. I try to reuse some of this, I think, and then make my own armrests. And I took the chrome strips out, and then this little slot here slides into part of the door, so temporarily I'm going to take that out. I'm not sure if I'm going to use it. The little pins to push in, I'm not going to reuse those. I'm actually going to use magnets. So getting this set up, and then I will trace it out on new waterproof backing, these cardboard template things that I got online. So I'll transfer, and I've started designing kind of the layout that I think I want. So see how this works out. Update, I'm getting my console here finished up, all the rough fabrication that is. So I had it in and out a few times. I made a couple adjustments to my little design pieces. Obviously ripped them straight for my LED strips here, make it easier. So that's gonna go underneath. Figured out a few placements. Final cut my panels. These are all magnetic clipped in. So you can see the magnets recessed, just clips in. Same thing for this back piece. And then my console box here, I got it recut and redesigned. Clears all my wires. Sits in there like that. I've got seam allowances here, enough for my material. Everything will get covered, and then I've got a console lid. I got to get the router out. Here's the lid here. Route this, and then I'll put the hinges on it. It's likely going to open up like this. Let's see what else. I got to make a couple of holes here on the sides for my wireless cell phone charger. These things here, these are going to go, and then you're going to go on the inside here, and then it'll be flush with a wireless. And then these little brackets I'm going to split them, and then the phone will sit sideways in, and then the wireless will be on the inside. So you'll just basically drop your phone in, and on each side, a little side sleeve pocket to hold it in, and then the magnet and the wireless will hold it in and charge it at the same time. So that's the plan. My head unit here, I'm waiting on some brackets, and then I'll figure out all my mounting structure on it. It's down there at the moment, but I've got a couple ideas, and I made sure that I've got plenty of access to my wires. What I'm missing still, I got the front and rear and quarter window power switches here, cup holder, obviously, the shifter, and then I got 2 spots here for my heated seats. And this is a plug-in for charger. Down here is going to be another phone holder. And then on each side, we've got the heated seat switches for the 2 rear seats. So that's it at the moment. I've got some foam that came in, and I also have some jute padding, and my German square weave carpet came in. So I realized that I've got to do my kick panels and then my AC vents. I think that's next. And then I have to do the flooring and the carpet so I can get the final measurements for the side of the console and everything else, so make sure it clears. So update on my seats here. I got both of them stripped down now. These are Lexus, I think RC 350 seats out of a 2-door from 2015 or thereabouts. These covers on them, unfortunately, don't come unglued to the foam, so I can't just go and buy new foam. I tried to peel the old covers off, and it just doesn't work without completely destroying the foam. So, lessons learned, make sure that you get seats that you can buy just the foam individually for. Being Lexus and Toyota, I found a very similar seat cushions and tops. Ordered a couple different ones, trial and error. The bottom seats, found a Toyota one that works just perfect, and the top, I got one that's pretty close. I had to do a little bit of trimming around the sides, and then for the seat release, obviously they were from probably a 4-door model, so that didn't really line up. I had to do a little bit of trimming on the inside as well. So I've trimmed this out, but my release mechanism kind of sits here like this. So I'm just kind of making this up as I go along. So I've got these pieces of foam here that I'm going to glue up and then open, and then when this sits in, it should sit flush with the foam, right underneath that edge there, and then I could wrap the leather around underneath that. At least that's the idea. So I've got these patterned, just clear vinyl, patterned out what I need. So I got them pinned up on both sides now. And I'm going to shoot the glue on it. And then once it's all glued up, I'll smooth these edges over with a sander. These things I'm going to fill as well. And then, they've got the metal listings in here, which is nice. And these things also fit my heated seats that came in. So it's all pretty straightforward. This can be trimmed, but it makes it pretty easy when they all fit nice and easy. So that's where I'm at the moment. Also got the replacements for these that are shorter and they match my belts. And then I found that I'm likely going to mount off of one of these holes here in the frame. I don't know if it's going to go on the inside or the outside, how exactly I'm going to do that. Actually, it may be down here. I'm not sure which side is which at this point. Either way, I'll have to figure out how I'm going to run the belt up, if I'm just going to do it over the top or if I'm going to do a piece of plastic or inside the channel and coming out through the foam. But that's something to figure out here after I get this, half-inch foam attached. So that's what update where we're at the moment. Just kind of figuring this out as we go along here. All right, 2 hours later, we got it mocked up. First pass, not too bad. A little bit of fine tuning. I think this is going to work out this just fine. This green foam is way softer, so I could compress it and sculpt it pretty easy. Right now I got a piece back here, so a little bit of adjusting, pull it out, but I think this is going to work pretty well. All right, I've got my seats hopefully mocked up for the final time here. Seat belts I've got sorted and figured out. I got some of this stuff just temporarily on, but I've got the latch mechanism back here, which I need to weld a nut on the back of the seats for. This, all the foam worked out pretty well. Releases, comes up nice and easy. This, I was potentially just going to put a piece of leather strap into either fixture points or buttons or something to hold it in, but I actually found that there's a backseat Tesla bracket that may work. So I'm gonna order those and see if I can't potentially hold this off and make it a little more comfortable when I sit in it. If that's the case, then see that bracket up there for the headrest. I'll cut that up and I'll make my own smaller little headrest here. Let's see. What else? Seat belts are gonna come down here. Either I'm gonna mount directly to the floor back here, or potentially I'll build a mount off this because this is a nice solid point, and I can basically build them out here, and then you don't have to worry about you catching your foot on it. What else? Basically my foam worked out pretty well. Pretty happy with how everything came out. So yeah, this is probably gonna be the last update for a bit. Only because this needs to be turned into a race car. So that's gonna happen here in the next couple of weeks. I'm gonna gut it and make it a legit race car for Lemons and then maybe SCCA. This back panel here, this obviously is trash, it's just a template. But I need to make one that's proper. And then my trunk lid panel, I'll probably do another video on how to do that because I need to figure that out. And yeah, that's about it. Other things I found was the door handle, or the door grabs here. I got one out of the 210 model, works perfectly. I tried to do the one out of the truck, the 55, 56 trucks, and it did not fit. So I just went with the one that I knew would fit. May end up modifying it a little bit. But that's where we're at the moment. All right, quick update. I made some headrests the other day. Used the stock bracket and then made some boxes, foamed them up. They turned out really well. I'm comfortable with how they look. I wanted the reason I'm doing this is for these things. I wanted to hold the seat belt off the seat because it keeps falling. So I didn't really want to do a leather strap with a button. So I ordered these off the internet. They are for Tesla back seat, but unfortunately they're really narrow, so they don't fit. They're also actually too small to go in. So I drilled this out. And what I think I'm gonna do here is get another set of them and use it as an extension. So I can basically epoxy the ABS plastic together and clean it up because it's underneath here, you won't see it. And then on the bottom, I can knock some of these things out and put a piece of metal or aluminum as a brace piece and epoxy it in, and effectively extend this out to the other post. And then the top should look nice and clean. Again, kind of hidden underneath the seat rest anyway. But this is what it'll look like. So that's the driver's sitting there. but remove this. Hang on. All right, I can do that one-handed. So, all right. So basically, this is the concept. It would sit off here, the seat belt, instead of naturally going here, and it keeps falling off. Even with a potential leather strap, I'm worried that I'm just going to ruin the leather over time. So this, and also when it's here, it's a little tight and it rubs against your neck, which is a little uncomfortable. So having it held up here should work a lot better. It'll cross down here over the latch, but that's fine. I'm not too concerned about that. So I think that's going to work out pretty well for what I'm trying to do. All right, 30 minutes of cutting, measuring, taking a little C-channel scrap that I had. It's gonna work out just fine. It's just sitting in there right now. Just a little tension spring. I'll glue that up. Order another one of these. And I think we'll be ready to rock. All right, I'm making the rear deck panel here. Traced the original, cut out a new piece, and just trying to figure out the speaker grill combination and how I ultimately want this thing to lay out. I've extended it a little bit. One thing I did learn here is my back seat foam is a little bit low, so I'll need to build this up a little bit so it has a nice finish. Because if you look at it here, see, once I get a little bit of jute padding underneath this thing, it's going to be a little higher. So I'm just measuring, and I also have a thing up here to simulate where the glass is going to go so they don't build that up. I think what I'm going to do here is build some type of design around this. And then I've got some speaker grill material that I'll make my own grill, which is this stuff here. I'll form it up, and then I've got some speaker cloth that I'll put over the top of it so you won't see it. So that's the plan at the moment. We'll see how this thing turns out. All right, this worked out pretty well. I made a couple of trim rings that clear. I'm gonna sand them a little bit and clean them up, but overall it works really well. Made 2 of these. Then I made a little buck for the speaker grill. This turned out really well. I just need to trim it. Basically, it'll look like that. And then I've got the cloth that will cover this. And this is gonna get covered in leather. Corners will get smoothed a little bit. And then I'll be able to go right up against it with the foam and then do a design or something like that in the center of the back panel. So pretty happy with these. Just about done, and then it's on to the trunk lid. Trunk lid, I've got this floppy piece of plastic material. This is polywall. I don't know. It was a cheap little thing for 20 bucks at the home center. So I think this is going to be reinforced on both sides. I'll probably end up doing a board, 2 pieces of board, and then this will cover the whole thing. So it's a nice smooth surface to be able to put foam on and then wrap and cover. The whole thing is going to get attached by a bunch of magnets. So I'm not sure if I'm going to show this before I get into the roll cage and gutting the BMW to make it a women's car. So we'll see. This may be the last video for a bit. Trunk lid cover. And try this out. I'm not sure if this is going to work. I got some clear vinyl that I hung up with magnets, and I traced around the outside for a template. Now I'm transferring to this some thick material that's, I think, for making like shoe leather or something like that. It's flexible, but it's hard enough. I think I'm gonna try, see how this stuff works. If not, I will rethink my material. So we give this a shot, see what happens. Okay, so holy crap, that actually worked really well. I did not expect that at all. Contours, doesn't have any wrinkles in it. Obviously, I cut it big on purpose so I can trim a little bit. But I think that's going to work out pretty well. I got a couple of triple magnets in the corners and some of the tighter areas. But yeah, a little bit of trimming, marking, and then this material we can actually sew through. So I should be able to foam it potentially and wrap it. And I think we got ourselves a cover.